After $1 billion hailstorm hits an area, your focus should be on running your business, not on insurance claims. We've helped streamline the insurance process for hundreds of roofing contractors across the U.S., and we can do it for yours too. Visit us online at c3adjusters.com and learn how we can help you save time and get claims paid faster.
Oops. There we go. I got a little trigger happy on that one, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Sunday. Thank you for joining us on this daily 12 p.m. hail forecast for the Sunday edition of The Forecast, sponsored by C3 Group here on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, our app, and online. So we're going to jump into it. We're going to talk about what happened yesterday. We had a surprise storm in Indiana and a bunch of activity overnight and a pretty active day possible today. It's late August. 1 year ago today was the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey's initial impacts. We were driving back from Corpus Christi about this time last year. If you remember, we were there in Corpus Christi to cover Hurricane Harvey and then all the other subsequent hurricanes the rest of this year. And today was the beginning of the journey back home and unfortunately the beginning of the devastating flooding in Houston. There was also, concurrently, there was a storm, the Hurricane Lane, really did end up becoming Hurricane Lane. It fell apart very fast yesterday. They got a lot of rain. The biggest story was the rain in Hilo, Hawaii. However, 45 inches of rain is impressive, except for the fact that Hilo is one of the wettest places in the United States, where they get a lot of rain off the mountains. Get over 300 inches of rain on average, just to the north of Hilo on the mountain slope. So 45 inches in about 4 days isn't really that big of a deal. The rain kind of runs off pretty quick into the ocean. So, unfortunately, unlike last year, Hurricane Lane will be forgotten probably pretty quickly, while Hurricane Harvey will be in those record books probably forever. So, enough of talking about hurricanes. We're going to jump in to talk about hail. Make sure you guys have the app downloaded. If you haven't already, go on to the App Store or the Google Play Store. You can download that app. You can then press the lightning bolt lower right-hand corner of your screen, and that will bring up this video. Whether it's live or a replay of the video that most recently happened, it will play in the corner and you continue doing your work. But if you are more interested, say, in the potential for storms in Lake Des Moines today, you want to click on that and go into your landscape mode, just like this, and bam, you can see the video in all its full screen glory. You can't do any comments on it if you watch through the app, which I know is a kind of a bummer, but we will be working on that in the future here. Make sure you have notifications set up so you don't miss when we have videos or when there's golf ball size hail or larger, like a bunch of folks in Indiana yesterday. Seeing a baseball alert was probably pretty exciting. Make sure you have that set up so you don't miss any of the exciting activity that happens in the world of weather. You can set up for push notifications through the app, probably the most popular one, through your email and through your desktop computer. And you can customize that to city metros, entire states, whole countries, and that is all the lovely stuff for you there. We're talking about, I did just mention it, Indiana yesterday, Greensburg, Indiana. It's a town about, I don't know, like 10, 15,000 people to the southeast of Indianapolis. They had a baseball-sized hail, probably one of the best storms Indiana's had in quite some time. Yes, the house count is small, but if you're a local guy or you want to try to go sneak in there real quick, and you can probably clean up pretty good. It was mostly baseball to 3-inch size hail falling. And it was a pretty impressive storm. You see, I know, more busted out back windows. Maybe not the greatest for the PDR folks, but definitely some roof damage out of this one. And a nice little surprise storm that occurred yesterday afternoon. There was also storms in Minnesota in the overnight hours. I haven't finished going over it yet, but that might also end up being a 3-star map as well. And these are storms just to the north of the Minneapolis metro. But I've already jumped ahead to the forecast for today. There's a lot going on here, and of course the purple has made a return. Haven't had that on my map for a little while now. We have a 25% chance for Bismarck, 20% chance for Fargo, North Dakota. Looks like there's going to be a couple different rounds of storms today. The first round is going to be in this area here, that forms and moves through, and then there's another round that's going to be back in Montana, and that's I think where some of the biggest hail might come out, and they're going to be isolated storms that are going to be roaring across western and central North Dakota. Could see up to some baseball, maybe even up to some 3-inch size hail, maybe even a little bit bigger if you can get some super, if it lands on a couple outflow boundaries that's kind of meandering around this area. So 25% chance for Bismarck. You're the biggest population center in the main risk area. And the models have been, it's hard. Bismarck's not the biggest city out there, but it's been showing storms trying to move through that general area, so it gives that 25% chance. Fargo, same basic deal. Storms have been pretty consistently showing up on the models around the basic Fargo area. And so that's why we have those highest chances. I have Des Moines at a 10% chance. Looks like some storms. There's some showers in the area right now, so that's why we don't have a bigger chance, but we could manage to see a couple storms later on this afternoon, this evening, and they could have up to some golf ball size hails. They develop and move to the northeast. And finally, as the evening goes on and towards the overnight hours, I think we could see some storms form near Minneapolis or into Wisconsin. I think this is all going to be clusters of storms, which are very difficult to determine how big the hail could be. Could get up to some golf ball size hail, or it could be a bunch of penny size hail. So that really keeps the chances down 5% for Minneapolis, 5% for Madison. And unfortunately for Omaha and for Chicago, both of you guys are really on the outskirts of any potential risk, so 2% respectively from both cities. So I'm going to jump into just individual city forecasts. Somebody mentioned, Kevin just asked, you think Denver will get hit again this year? It is possible. You guys can get hail pretty much all the way to the end of September. So it is, you still have ways to go. I think we're quiet for a while now. The pattern that we're in is not super favorable for front range hail. So I'm sure a lot of folks, especially folks working in Colorado Springs, can maybe take a sigh of relief and be like, all right, I can actually get a roof replaced in time before another storm happens. But let's see. Anything else? All right, that's all counts right now. Anyway, so here's for Bismarck between 7:10 p.m. up to 3-inch size hail possible. 25% chance for hail, and with that, I have a 20% chance of 3-star map or better. And that's really because Bismarck's not the biggest city in the world, so you pretty much have to get a direct hit for you to get a 3-star map or better. So just kind of shaving off a couple percentage points there. From what I think of them getting hail, you know, they could just a tiny part of the town get a little bit of hail, and that still technically counts, but 20% chance of 3-star or better. For Des Moines, between about 8 and 11 p.m., a little bit later, could have to get to some golf ball size hail, 10% chance, I'm saying, and then of that, about a 5% chance of 3-star better. That's just pretty much if we get any sort of activity that ends up not being, like, if you get quarters, you're not going to probably see a 3-star map. It takes very specific circumstances to have a 3-star better with just quarter size hail. So pretty low chance there. Between 6 and 9 p.m. for the Minneapolis area, about up to golf ball size hail is possible. Only a 5% chance. I think there's a better chance you guys aren't going to see any big hail than there is, and it's also very possible. So in here I have a 6 to 9 p.m. for expected time, and that's the first wave. It's very possible we could have storms near daybreak again tomorrow if the storms continue to move through North Dakota and into western section of Minnesota. If they keep trugging along, they could get towards the Minneapolis area by 4 o'clock in the morning or so, but I think the chances of that are a little lower than, say, earlier in the evening, and even then, only about a 5% chance. And finally, just for the hell of it, I got Chicago in here, got 2% chance. Your chances, if anything does happen, would be in the evening hours between 7 and 11, up to maybe $half size hail, 2% chance, and then respectively 2% chance, maybe lower than that for the Chicago area. And of course, with me saying that, they probably get softballs or something today because that's about 2018 rolls. So here's what we're showing for the models. This is each triple R 15Z, most recent model run. You see clusters of storms happening. They see them moving through the Fargo area. This particular model run decides to not give Minneapolis much in the way of anything, and also there has storms by Des Moines kind of later, has 2 different rounds. Most of the activity, I think, is going to be North Dakota today, which is unfortunate just because North Dakota doesn't have a lot of people in it. But I think there could be some pretty gnarly storms, and maybe we'll get lucky and we get a good storm in Bismarck or Fargo. And yes, asking about Wisconsin, here we go. This is shifting over, same model run into the Wisconsin area. This particular run has quite a bit of activity in western and south central sections of Wisconsin. Got to keep an eye on that. Maybe Dubuque or over by Madison, you could see some storms. We'll be watching that very carefully. Any of these storms for like Wisconsin, Iowa, again, up to golf ball size hail. And if anything is really intense, if it lands on an outflow boundary or stays isolated for a while and doesn't cluster, we could be talking about bigger hail as well. Just I try to do that max most likely size. So most likely up to golf ball size hail. So looking ahead, if nothing really happens today, tomorrow we have another shot at hail across Minnesota, Minneapolis area, into Iowa, and the northern half of Iowa, and even into Wisconsin. Again, up to tennis ball size hail is possible. We're looking at right now. That's for your Monday. So we'll be watching. Obviously, we'll have coverage for this tomorrow as well. But finally, a little bit of activity in the north central plains and the Great Lakes region. Getting to the very end of August, or almost in the fall hail season at this point. But I mean, better late than never, I guess. That's pretty much how 2018 has been so far. Getting a lot more activity. All right, since it's 2018, I'm waiting to hear that Los Angeles is going to get some hail. Yeah, Justin, we're on the same boat. That's kind of the joke we've been making. Like, oh yeah, we'll get some storm in LA. That'll be ridiculous or something because things haven't made sense this year. But anyway, so here's what the models are showing for your day tomorrow, and you see a lot of activity. It really explodes out. The 3-cam NAM model really likes going into clusters and lines, so take this with a grain of salt, but it does show a lot of activity, and more importantly, it's showing it in the general region of where Minneapolis is at. So this could be a very interesting day tomorrow if nothing exciting happens today. So we'll be watching this super carefully. Of course, when we have live coverage, even today, we'll have live coverage. Anything crazy ends up happening, I know myself and probably Derek is also available today to do live coverage. If I get enough lead time, I can get to the office and not do it from my house. So we'll kind of see what happens as this afternoon wears on into this evening. If any live coverage does occur, you'll get that notification, and we'll do it through the entirety of the storm moving through a population center, or same goes for tomorrow as well. So 5-day forecast, also sponsored by C3 Group. Shout out to them. They got the link in the description below. Their logo never showed up, but in the description below, if you're watching on Facebook, check out C3 Group. They sponsor our videos and they sponsor our truck. So when we eventually can go storm chasing, we'll be able to do exciting stuff with them for that as well. Here's your Sunday and your Monday. High population, of course. You have pretty major metro areas at risk, and I have a 20% chance for a 3-star today. 15 for tomorrow, might be higher, but right now, I'm trying to temper those expectations a little bit. This still is August, where the risk area can change drastically from day to day based on the convection from the morning before. You get a bunch of storms moving through at 8 a.m. or whatever, and it cools off the atmosphere. It can screw up your whole forecast for the day. So we got to temper those expectations. But right now, it could have to some tennis ball size hail. So it'll be something interesting to watch. For your Tuesday, up to 2-inch hail possible. High population, but I got that 5% chance again. Everything kind of just snowballs as you move forward in time with these risks. So we can't really can't give you a good estimate on all these things when it's the summertime. If somebody asks about Dallas, nothing in Dallas probably for a little while. You guys will not see anything until maybe October, second half of September. So Wednesday, population's moderate, but the chance of hail really starts to trail off. And then Thursday, I think a pretty low population. We're going to be in the Dakotas again. I think there might be a bit of, I wouldn't be surprised if Wednesday almost nothing happens, or we have a reload time where I think going into Labor Day weekend, we could see some activity in the Great Lakes again, but it's over a week out, so we'll see how all that pans out. So here's our look ahead, Matt. Area concern on Tuesday. It does include Chicago down through most of Iowa, Wisconsin, pretty much from Green Bay Point south, and all the way back toward maybe even Kansas City for your Tuesday. For your Wednesday, it shifts to the east. However, I think it's a very low-end chance. Maybe just a couple storms dropping in some quarters, but for the most part, I think it might be more wind and rain. And then Thursday, that final area is over in South Dakota and the northern half of Nebraska. Is going to be north of Omaha. So we're looking at for the next few days. Again, today looks like it's going to be potentially quite active. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of hail. However, with that minimal population where I think the biggest hail is going to be, it's going to be hard-pressed to see some really impressive maps. But fingers crossed that for Iowa or Wisconsin to pull through. We'll be here, obviously, to give any kind of live coverage if anything exciting happens. Follow us on Facebook and hit see first so you don't miss any of that live coverage, especially if you miss out on the push notification. If it's your particular area getting hit, your phone might be blowing up and you might miss our notifications. But if you follow us on Facebook, you can see first. All our posts are at the top of your news feed so you don't miss anything that we post. And we post very, very early. And of course, give us a call, email us, or visit our website at hailtrace.com. You can message us on intercom on hailtrace.com. It's in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. It's a little speech bubble. Click on that. Sends out a message to everyone on staff. It's excellent for the weekends when no one's at the office, unless, of course, something crazy is going on. So message us on there. We will get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. That's all I got for you guys on this Sunday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on your Sunday. We'll see you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. back at the Hail Palace, unless, of course, there is big storms going on. So I guess cross your fingers to those hail dances and hope you see me or Derek again later on today for live coverage. But if not, I'll see you again tomorrow at 12. Have a great day, everybody.